everyone, and welcome back to Ranty Reviews. It's been a while since I've done this because I got to spend the month of June in Greece, and I learned a couple of things. A, Greece is an incredible country with wonderful people, and everyone should visit it at least once. And B, it takes a lot of time to travel abroad for 3 weeks. So that's why I've been absent from the channel, but I'm back now and I'm ready to review James Gunn's Superman. Before I dive in, I will say this review will be spoiler-free, so don't worry if you haven't seen the movie yet. I won't ruin anything. Now that that's out of the way, I'll start with this. I'm not afraid to admit when I was wrong about something, and I was wrong about James Gunn's Superman. A week ago, I swore up and down I wouldn't see Superman because James Gunn and his brother Sean seemed to have graduated from the Rachel Ziegler School of Movie Marketing. That is, make insane, inflammatory political statements that are bound to alienate half of the audience when you're out desperately trying to get butts in the theater seats.
It is exactly what the movie is about, I think, that, we support our people, you know? We love our immigrants. Yes, Superman is an immigrant, and yes, the people that we support in this country are immigrants, and if you don't like that, then you're not American.
Nathan Fillion, who plays Guy Gardner in the film, chimed in too, although the more I think about and listen to his statements, I'm not entirely sure his remarks weren't directed at Gunn. Take a look and judge for yourself.
James has said that Superman is an immigrant story, that it is political. MAGA today was getting a little upset that he called Superman an immigrant. I wanted to get your reaction.
Somebody needs a hug. It's just a movie, guys. It's just a movie.
Either way, I go to movies to escape politics. With my day job, I'm elbows deep in political stuff, and sometimes I just want to get away from that for a couple of hours. So anytime a movie or its stars become a political campaign, for either side of the aisle, mind you, it's a turnoff for me. But my youngest really wanted to see the film, and I'd seen some early talk online that while this wasn't the greatest movie ever, it wasn't the political screed the Gunns painted it as. So I put aside my concerns and decided to take him to a Friday night show. And here's my 4-word review. I didn't hate Superman. I'll start with the good stuff. I liked David Cornsweet as Superman. Granted, he's neither Christopher Reeve nor Henry Cavill, but he captures the look of Superman and largely brings an earnestness to the role that I appreciated. I thought Rachel Brosnahan was great as Lois Lane, by and large. She was a good foil for Cornsweet. There was some writing of her character that had some issues, and I'll go into that a little bit later on. But she did the best with what the script had gave her, and it worked. Nicholas Hoult was the standout in this film. He was fantastic as Lex Luthor, and probably the best part of the movie. He was both suave and evil, with just the right amount of menace to make him scary as a villain. And I liked the fact the film gave us an actual romantic relationship between Superman and Lois Lane. They were a couple that had conversations, that had disagreements, that kissed and showed affection and expressed love for one another. That's been sorely absent from a lot of Hollywood films as of late because it's not woke enough for certain segments of the industry. But audiences like that. It works with the story, and it's necessary as part of the film. Gunn also shied away from giving us Superman's origin story in full, instead placing bits and pieces of it scattered throughout the movie. And I liked that idea, in theory. The biggest problems with this movie come in the plot and the pacing, because while it was a good idea to do away with the formulaic superhero debut film, it felt like Gunn didn't know how to write a film where the backstory was established off screen. And it's clear Gunn doesn't understand Superman as a character, who he is, what he does, and what motivates Superman. Instead, this movie gave off strong Guardians of the Galaxy vibes, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Guardians, especially in the latter half of the MCU, was the strongest part of Marvel. The problem is Superman is not Star-Lord, and Superman has a rich history behind him that Gunn just doesn't seem to fully grasp. The plot was very choppy. It jumped from scene to scene, action scene to action scene, without much flow, and the pacing, because of it, never seemed to find its groove. The inclusion of Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner and the Justice League didn't play out the way I expected it to, but it also felt like they were just there as a crutch for Superman because Gunn didn't know how to tell a solo Superman story, which ties in directly to my next biggest point of contention, Krypto the dog. As adorable as Krypto is, James Gunn leaned heavily into our love of doggos to carry some of the film and, once again, give Superman something to play off of on screen. Not only was Krypto a big part of the story, there was another rather long scene where Superman saves a dog from a giant monster that just felt so heavy-handed. We get it. Dogs are cute and funny. Superman likes dogs. But this was overkill, and I say that as someone who sprung for the Krypto collectible popcorn bucket. As I mentioned earlier, there was some borderline girl bossing with Lois Lane that, in the hands of a different actress, would have been obnoxious and off-putting. But Brosnahan played Lane in such a way that it didn't seem overly Mary Sue-ish, so I'm willing to let that slide. That being said, there isn't anything overly woke about this movie, which makes the decision by James and Sean Gunn to try and spin this into a MAGA thing all the more mind-boggling. At the end of the night, I can say I walked away from Superman having had fun and not wanting my money or my time back. I'll be curious to see how the movie does in its second week, which will be a better indicator of whether or not it'll be profitable or a flop over the opening weekend numbers. So I give this a Ranty recommends, and with the scope and scale of the visuals, I would suggest seeing it in the theater, but I wouldn't spring the extra money for the 3D screenings. Thank you so much for listening. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe and share this video. I'll be back soon with more reviews. In the meantime, take care of yourselves.